probably gonna turn up because no. Oh, hello.
Connor. Yeah.
That was so
Hello.
quick.
Very quick.
Hello. It seems to be StreamYard is doing surprises. Before you had to wait
Yeah, they
for
must
that in
have
order
updated
to,
it, I think.
yeah. So get the roll. Anyway, so whoever is watches in the future, sorry for the start, but there you go. We back. My channel. It's been like I have to get the cobwebs away from my channel to get something going on here. So I do apologize for that thing. And then yeah, so we had chats in your channel, to Terence, I think a couple
Last
of
time, I
more.
think a couple of weeks ago was me.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
I think
So
it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I can't remember.
yeah, so you can go into his channel and watch that. So we weren't, escaping from this YouTube for a long time, but
Mhm.
happened summertime, isn't it? Kind of
Yep.
tricky. I think one of the trickier. Oh, Drunken Sailor.
Hello, Drunken
Hello.
Sailor. Welcome.
Yes, welcome. Yeah. So summertime is the one thing which is really kind of difficult, even for me in reading comic books, like finding the right time.
Yeah.
If it's like maybe it's too much, like if it's nice weather, you definitely don't want to read comics. That's how I am. I don't know how you.
Hmm.
But when the rainy, like we had this rainy month, this what was it, July was horrible weather, and August doesn't give us very much good of a summertime, but I found it really difficult to actually just sit down and have my time. Of course, I have my
Hmm.
child who's on holidays. That's another one which doesn't let
Yeah.
you really have a space to relax on, to read, so that's a bit more difficult. And yeah, so Terence, how is your
Now
reading?
that now that my now that my brother's gone, I've read a boatload of stuff. Because I
Oops.
was the same way. Like I was looking in my book that I'm keeping track in. There was like a good week or two where there was 1 week I didn't read anything. There was another
Mhm.
week where I read like two things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But since he's been gone, I've really caught up and I've got a pretty sizable stack. I usually put them on I've got this
Mhm.
shelf, this racking here on the side of my bookcase.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
full with stuff. Like I can't fit any more in. Last night I sat and read, and so it was I've done some
Wow.
catching up for sure, and there's a bunch because my reading pile is usually here on the side and it's now getting lower, which is a good thing because I got to start putting stuff away. But
Yeah.
yeah, I read a lot is what I'm saying. I guess a lot.
Wow. What do you see?
Yeah.
What a show off. A
um
lot.
you read
Oh
did you
wait.
finish the audio adventures?
Yeah. We'll talk about it. But
Okay. Yeah.
before we do like to talk about what we watched. So I hope you haven't even started Secret Invasion.
I haven't started. I haven't watched and like we
No,
haven't watched anything.
I didn't finish it because I honestly it's too boring and it's
Oh, that's
feels
too
like
bad.
the only thing is striking is when they kill somebody off. So
Yep.
that gives you a little bit of food for thought. But honestly,
Right.
I don't know what the idea was behind it because the Secret Invasion story I don't think is bad, and you can use
Right.
it to your own strengths. But it seems to be this was or rushed, or
Really.
apparently I've heard that they were the creators or the writers, they weren't supposed to read any material from Marvel's database. So they
Okay.
weren't reading, getting inspired, but there's some moments where you basically, if you have read a Secret Invasion for like a couple of pages, you can kind of guess that there was something like that. But it's too much talking. It's so
Right.
much talking, and
Yeah.
action is minimal. And the only time when the action happens, they kill somebody off. And the
Yeah.
reason
Right.
I don't know, is that lots of killing. Maybe like have some sort of underlying future thing they wanted to do in the movie sense. But
Uh-huh.
I highly not recommend it for the first time. The TV show of that kind of caliber of Marvel work, I find it really boring and
Oh,
not
that's too
interesting
bad.
for me. But that's my
Yeah. Right.
really it's my opinion. At the end of the day, take it or leave it. You can do whatever you
Yeah.
want. But it really dragged for me, and I was like, we looked at me and my husband one day, was like, shall we even bother? And we're like, no, we're not going to finish it. So it's just
Have all
not
the episodes been released now? Like, is it all out there now? Okay.
yeah, everything is out and about
Is it
in
6 or 7 or 8? How many are there? 6?
something like that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I watched 3 and I felt like I didn't gain anything from it.
Oh, bummer.
There was a couple of things with Nick Fury's past life and the blip thingy they were talking about.
Yeah.
That was quite curious and see. And the scroll things were the leader who was basically killing everybody, and he's extremely clever. But the one who actually been saved by the Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, and he basically grew up in on Earth, even though we're supposed to be let go to find some other planet to live on, but they end up being living in on Earth, and they, of course, it wasn't in Russian territory because like they play in this kind of real situations and all that stuff, like so kind of thing. So that was very interesting part, but part of this really not interesting.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll give it a shot for sure, but I mean, we haven't rushed to see it at this point, so I think all of us are feeling. I mean, again, like I think it's also a summer thing too. We haven't had the time, but
yeah,
because the Guardians of the Galaxy is on Disney Plus, we still haven't watched that.
Mm.
So I think we'll probably do some catching up. But I mean, I have a feeling it's gonna be a while. Hello, Donald Rex.
Hello. Yeah, it's the Guardians is definitely recommend watching.
Yeah,
But yeah, if
Yeah,
you're not happy about animal experimentation, that will be a bit of a
yeah, right.
but I think a lot of people were asking about Raccoon's origin story because nobody because they keep on talking, like calling him all his names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're literally getting everything, where he's come from, why he doesn't is not happy about them being called like a raccoon or rat or a squirrel or that. So you can understand why that happens as well and his feelings about it. And it's very, very kind of sad also, because you think there's some certain situations, and they put it wasn't the Guardians of the Galaxy used to, like that happy-go-lucky. They do really have that in the moments, and of course it's extremely hilarious. But the music, I think this movie is the most music conscious production I've ever probably watched, because of the amount of music they input and the situations they use the music as a advantage rather than disadvantage, kind of thing.
Right.
It's really cool, and I really like that.
That's cool.
Part of
I'm really looking forward to it. They're some of our favorite movies as a family. They're always really enjoyable. The Guardian stuff, the previous ones, they're always one of the ones that we all just tend to love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't as I say, it wasn't as funny as what you expect Guardians to be, but I think it's a good thing. You have to get elements of not only having jokes to work for you, in order to create a movie to be interesting for people to watch. So a part of that, I was trying to watch Batman. What is it called? What do they call it? Batman new animated movie.
Oh, really?
A new one. They keep. War World. So Jonah Hex was in it, which was really interesting.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. I saw an ad for it in one of the DC comics. Yeah.
So yeah, it's you can basically Blu-ray or or buy it on the file anyway and watch it like that. But it was very interesting part, but Jonah Hex, because Jonah Hex, I never felt like he's a villain, but in this one he was, and the way they put the movie together, it felt a little bit disjointed because you weren't understanding the underlying idea how they're gonna plot the movie, so you can't understand at the beginning. So I was like, what is this all about? Because they did in chunks, so they give limelight to Wonder Woman, then you give limelight to Batman, and then you give them so both of them, and they got involved with like Jonah Hex and other characters from DC Universe. I mean, they always were very strong with this movie section, animated especially, but this plotline felt a little bit, I don't know, it just felt like boring. Like it didn't feel like I was drawn into it as much, even though I absolutely love Jonah Hex as a character, and I liked the Wonder Woman portrayal of her being like a cowboy. But she wasn't aware what she actually was, so they were like had amnesia, and in that sense, so that was the Wild West part was interesting because of Jonah Hex, but I don't know, it just didn't feel like as entertaining to me as well. So
yeah. Did you see the House of Mystery one?
Yes, I watched that with
I love that. I got it a couple of months ago. I haven't talked about it with you. I slipped my mind until right this
mhm.
very minute. I really loved that one, like the Constantine and Spectre, and those were fantastic little shorts. I would love it if they kind of moved in that direction a little more and did these kind of shorts, putting it in kind of a framework. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, because it was short as well. Don't forget, to
Yeah,
45 minutes, I think, not
but
even
also
an
just
hour.
engaging. It was engaging. No, I think there was, yeah, maybe about an hour or so, 80 minutes, 70 minutes, something like that. But I think it's a good chunk though. Like I felt like I got complete stories and they were a little unusual and I thought it was really well done.
I think I prefer DC Universe Magic Realm for sure. I think
Okay.
I absolutely love Zatanna and then Constantine, and then you have
Oh,
Spectre, and then you
yes.
have all that those kind of characters. Since one thing can in that kind of mystical part for me because I know his abilities and stuff to talk to Green.
Right.
I think that
What's it
universe
called?
is
Sorry.
it's the same one I'm talking about, like what you
Oh, it's the
watched.
same one.
House
Sorry.
of
I
Miss
thought this was
the
another one with,
no
okay,
no no
okay. I thought
House
there
of
was another
Mystery.
one. I got
What
excited
I'm
that there was a second.
no, I wish it would be.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
creating new plot line, but no. If Zatanna would be more in limelight, I think I would be more happy, and I think a lot of people
Yeah.
or fans of Zatanna would be happy as well. And I think DC Universe magical characters are quite really strong. You know,
Yeah.
they are really have that element of surprise, and also the the Dead Man and all that kind of realm of their DC universe. As I say, I keep repeating myself, but they are really entertaining characters and
Totally.
mysterious as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So yeah,
agree. I love them.
House of Mystery definitely is highly recommended to people who haven't watched it. That's for
Yeah, I've
sure
been off
something
of
you want.
their animated movies for quite a long time because they just kind of started getting, I don't know, for me, not as interesting. The animation
Mhm.
style started lacking and the stories weren't that exciting. And,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But apart of
yeah,
that, I've been catching up some stupid little dramas, the TV shows, because I'm kind of
okay.
curious to see because of that striking happening in Hollywood with the actors.
Yep. Yep.
I'm curious to see what kind of what would happen to actually your entertainment part because if Hollywood is shut down for this long already, what 2 months now, or is it like a month?
About a month or so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite a lot of time to lose the production value. Because quite a
Yeah.
lot of actors, your TV show more actors, I think. Well, not, I mean, all caliber of actors are there striking for their own right.
Yeah.
So
Correct. Yeah.
I'm curious to see how your September's, when they come out with all sort of, because school holidays are over and everybody's back to normality supposedly,
Yeah.
and you start showing all your new shows coming out, like new seasons and stuff like that. But with that kind of
Hmm.
striking happening, I wonder if that's going to be some sort of domino effect to what our entertainment is going to be like in the
Hmm.
future. But
Yeah, I
it's
think if you see anything, you'll see it next year because for the
yeah,
most part, and not exclusively, obviously, a lot of that stuff has already been filmed, so it's getting ready for the September release, right?
yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
there's going to be some shows that didn't make the cutoff, but
Mhm.
I think where you'll see it is next year because I mean, by the sounds of it, I feel like the strike is going to go on till the end of the year, so we're all here and there's no shows going. There's only one show shooting right now in
Mm.
town here, and I think that's pretty much it. There's not going to be anything for quite a long time, so we're all feeling it as well too, like the ripple effects, right, of a strike. And obviously, with goes without saying, I support them in their strike 150%, but it does end up affecting a lot more, and especially as Canada, we become so reliant on service providing for the United States, which is fucking stupid. We should be creating our own content. This is a perfect window for a
To do
bunch of
so.
Canadian content to start, but there's nothing. We haven't nourished that part of our culture, right? So we don't have anything, which is really unfortunate.
Mm.
Relying on outside work to come up here is a real. This shows us what it does to our economy because that film alone brings in millions of dollars here to just our city, and that's just one city out of Canada. You know what I mean? It brings in a boatload of money to our city. So that's going to be a huge hit for us. So
Mm. It's
yeah.
interesting how that correlates to things and people like unhappy. How dare they do so? Because you kind of hear the people complaining. Plus, you see actual picketing lines going around, and you see the actor caliber of actors actually doing that and believing
Mhm.
and do so. But then of course unhappy with other ones because like they still working and they having, and that all this also gets affected because of the pay, of course. That's the main.
Part of that is pay. I don't know if it's the main, but yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
the pay and how that
yeah,
pay structure. It's more about
yeah,
the pay structure for streaming. Even
yeah,
musicians are feeling it. I saw a clip today with Snoop Dogg talking about it. It's like, listen, like we have about the music side of things of like,
yeah.
how does the amount of streaming equate to dollars in my pocket? Like you're telling us that there's a million streams. So why
Mm,
the fuck don't I have $1 million in my pocket from those streams? So, and it's because of the way the system, they do a one-time buy
mm.
and then
Yeah.
they put it on their platform, then it gets streamed. Whereas like if I
Mm,
print up 1 million records and I sell 1 million records, I'm going to have X amount of dollars because there's a physical item, right? So it's
mm,
this whole world of digital and how that relates to who's getting paid properly, because it's about getting paid properly and making
yeah.
sure that you're getting your share. So some scumbag executive and some corporation isn't getting all of the money from that, whereas the artist who supplied the stuff is getting next to nothing, right? So
Mm,
it's a big part of it, like, and how that world works out, right? I
mm,
feel like I had another nugget there, but I lost it. But yeah, I mean that's a big part of it for sure. It's kind of
yeah.
mapping that stuff. Oh, the one thing that I did hear recently, so I don't know if you know A23, that company, that film company that does A23, they do like horror, thriller, stuff like that. Like they usually
Okay.
have their logo, right? The beginning of the trailer is usually the A23 logo. They're
Uh-huh.
kind of renowned for doing stuff that kind of pushes boundaries. So Hollywood is still working with A23 because A23 has decided that they will give them whatever they want. So they're going to go with the contract, which is, I think,
Nice.
amazing. And it kind of shows like, okay, Disney, NBC, Universal, you guys have way more money than A23. Why aren't you doing what they're doing? They're
Mm,
just saying, yep, whatever you want, we're going to give it to you. So they
yeah.
can keep, so actors and writers are allowed to work on A23 productions because
Uh-huh.
they've decided that they're going to give in to their demands, I guess, quote unquote, right? So,
Oh, yeah.
which I think is pretty impressive. And it makes me like A23 even more than I already did, because we always end up watching the trailers of movies that come out from them because it's always something interesting. Even we don't see them all. It's cool to see what kind of stuff they're doing. So,
Mm.
sorry, A24. Rick Ray, thank you.
Hey,
A24. Yes.
regret.
A23, A24,
You see?
B67,
You see? You see?
Z20. Bingo. Basically, it's bingo.
Hey, long time, yes,
Hello,
regret.
Rick Ray.
Yeah, so anyway, but because I was watching one of the actors way, which basically it's a short. It wasn't the full video I was watching, but the short I was watching a fraction of the idea of why they're doing that, and the idea of them selling, the actual material, like what, like let's say the Blu-rays and DVDs, and they say like, look, when you buy fiction, like actual item, we were getting the stuff because, like
Right.
you were saying about the streaming thing, because it's like a package. You're giving them away, but the
That's right.
actors who actually worked on it gets nothing. There's no
Yeah.
compensation towards you being on a screen and streaming all the time, and all that stuff. And that's what the problem is. And I was like, wow, I was thinking this way, but I remember how many times in order for you to watch again and again the same movie you absolutely loved, your Blu-rays and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Hello, Miranda Comics.
Hey,
You were
honey.
going to rent them. Even that was going a revenue for towards the production lines and stuff like that. So yeah, but the technology, I guess that's why we have to work and find the new laws to make everybody happy in the working environment, and that's why you have that.
Well, and I think that's the thing that surprises me the most. Well, not surprising me the most. One of the things that surprises me is that
Yeah,
it's not like streaming just got invented yesterday for music and for movies and stuff. I mean, I'm kind of unsure as to why these kind of arguments and fights
mm,
weren't happening way earlier, like especially
yeah,
for streaming music. That shit has been around for many, 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 many years at this point.
mm-hmm,
But I guess it's just a conversation that's just being brought to light. Hello, AFPC.
mm-hmm,
Pay a fraction of a cent per stream in
yeah,
residuals. Yeah, and that's where it comes down to that base deal. Like when I'm an actor going into a production, if I know
yeah,
I'm going to work for a net show that's going to go on Netflix,
yeah,
then you start negotiating higher, which is obviously difficult, which is where you need to have like a base level in your contract and stuff, right? So it's
yeah.
difficult for sure. I can't imagine the conversations the complexity
Hmm.
of trying to work out a deal like that to work out streaming. Because I mean, how do you even track that? How are you tracking how many screens are watching a specific thing? You have the numbers for, although saying this out loud, I'm sure they have some sort of tracking when people are watching Netflix, what they're watching. There's got to be some sort of algorithm that's locked into the computer that tracks how many times, I don't know, Breaking Bad episode 5 has been watched or whatever, right?
I think all those algorithms, what YouTube and generally, and people who was earning quite a pretty penny from YouTube videos, and algorithms keeps on changing because they keep on maybe improving them or slightly changing them to a point, because apparently some of like algorithm part is the minute you speak out the word and whoever that voice comes out from kind of recognize, especially I'm talking about movies, I don't think that would be doing it in YouTube, but you know, that kind of stuff that you can recognize by computer systems, and how important those are or becoming so important. And the one that we dwelling forward in the, you know, those kind of computer systems where everything can be monitored and everything can be, you know, understood in the right moments. I presume that's how one ways they can understand who and what streaming where.
Yeah,
and
right.
we are trying always to run away from that. Oh, don't watch us! Don't be next to us! Don't want to.
Well,
not
and then
watch
that's also a big part of the conversation too. Like, does it change where in the world you are, and then how can you track that with everybody using VPNs and things, right? Like, it just becomes it just trickle down to I can't imagine those conversations, man.
So that's
complex
why
as hell.
I like watching. Like I follow a couple of actresses specifically, who is basically part of the picketing line. Sarah Silverman is that one, the comedian?
Sarah Silverman,
yeah. So I like her a lot because she's very outspoken and she doesn't like basically have a filter when it comes to her to make it clear for people why we're doing this.
Right.
So I always like watching her. So I find it kind of fascinating, to be honest. I've never thought I'll be this interested in this kind of situation, what's happening in Hollywood at the moment. So
no, totally. I mean, that's the other part of me. That's the other side of it. I hope that people that are paying attention to the Hollywood ones start paying more attention to strikes in general. You know, like what are some other sectors that are striking and what they're striking for, and you know, looking into things and looking into what they can do individually within their own work environments, and you know, all of that stuff. I hope it sparks a much bigger conversation and we can build off of this and talk more about unions and striking and all that stuff, right? And the importance of labor fucking standing together, man, to screw the man.
Mr. Crack's passion.
Man, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, so now we have like more than enough time giving that, so we can actually start talking comics. Sorry, people, you have to listen to us blab about that, but you know, it's part of the conversation. So do you want to kick off us and see what your humongous reading pile is all about?
I mean, let's start. Don't isolate me yet. Why don't we just talk together about if you read the last Audio Adventures, the last issue there?
Oh, what cover do you have there?
I got the all red one because once I got on the all red train, I have all of the all red covers for it. So that's his cover for the final one. Yeah, it's pretty great. I also I gotta say I'm kind of enjoying, as difficult as it is sometimes to find them. I like that they kind of minimize the title and stuff up top to give more room for the art, you know, which is great.
Yeah. I think this is it. Basically, this has been 7 issues. This one was the longest one to wait, I guess, from the old 7 issues prior to that.
Yeah.
And it's quite beefy, don't you think? I felt like it's quite a long, quite more pages than I was expecting, maybe, even though it maybe just the way it felt for me because I haven't read it for a while. But I'm obsessed with Wayland. What is his name again? Oh my god, I always forget. The Killer Croc.
Yeah, Killer Croc. Yeah, his story.
I think he was for me in the story was the superstar. By the way, this is the show I was talking about.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
not just on the net. Thanks, DC. And I'm kind of sad that this is over. To be honest, I absolutely loved the people working on this. So
So did I.
Dennis McNicholas, Anthony Marquez, J Bone penciler, J
Yep.
Bone inker, and Dave Stewart in colors, and
Yeah.
Ferran Delgado is letterer as well. Really good team. I think out of all this offshoot mini series for the Batman, I think before we were the Adventure Continues, isn't it? That's the one we used to.
That's right.
Well, at least I was reading beforehand, but I think out of all of them, I think this was my favorite one, because it seems to be they really had an idea what they want to write about. They had really good characters to pick on. Of course, Batman, of course, no wonder he's there plastered right at the day, but honestly, the Killer Croc storyline, I really hope that they would give him more limelight, because I think he definitely deserves it. And but the way everything came out to be, maybe I felt a little bit too rushed, to be quite honest with you. It was rewarding. I mean, you knew what the story was all about the knife and this new clan who were going after Ra's al Ghul, and he's the devil, blah blah blah. They going after. He had this sword. Batman comes after them, and this story is basically friendly to anybody who doesn't have a clue about Batman, because it's basically reintroducing to Batman realm. Because even Killer Croc here, he is going after Penguin, because Penguin basically took him in as a child and created this idea in his head that he's a killer, and if you don't kill, so you will be killed as a lunch, blah blah blah. And he was still quite young. He was just coming into what he was supposed to be, and then he has mental issues due to that. And I think he just so entertaining, to be honest. I think I felt that in the storyline he was the beast, and at the end of the day he ended up being one. And then there's this underlying other plot line they could go for, and I think that's the whole idea, isn't it? Maybe they're gonna create another series, which I hope they will do.
I mean, without spoilers, to me, it's clear that there's going to be another one at the end of this. The way it left off, it's setting itself up for a chapter 2 or a volume 2 or a new number 1 or whatever the hell they're going to do. Yeah. Look at the thing is, the art in this. I think one of the things that this captures, what the Adventure Continues fails to recently, is capturing kind of like that really cartooniness and that real kind of sense of fun. Like the animated series, one of the reasons I loved that stuff early on, the show and the comics, was because it captured this kind of pulpy kind of fun note to it. And I think this one does a really good job of recapturing that and representing it in something else. Like I loved, this is the best Batman stuff I've read in a long time. So much fun. I agree, like with the end, it felt like there was so many loose ends to tie up. It was a little dense reading wise. I mean, I could still follow it. I could still see all the threads, so it wasn't that bad. I felt the same as you. Like it felt a little bit unsatisfying, but I think that's more of a me and endings kind of thing, right? Because again, the way that they write these things now is they write them as these chapters. Like if this was going to go 50 issues and it was just part 1 of the whole 50 issue run or something, it would be different. But we know that this is kind of like an end. Oh, did I lose you? Oh, she's gone. I'll hold down the fort. I think the ending, because it's sort of an end of a story and it's going to be a new number 1, it changes things a lot, right? So whereas if it was like I knew this was going to be an ongoing, this would just be part of an overarching story, which I think is a better way to present it,
Dennis McNicholas is the writer.
And a really, really good job. I'm not familiar with the name.
No.
I'm sure he's been around forever. I just don't know off the top of my head, but it was just a really, really fun book. It was so much fun to read it. And it was a long wait with this one. I was starting to get really nervous. Like, what the hell is going on? Is this thing ever going to come out? But even with that long wait, I could still pick it up and I didn't feel lost. And I think that's real credit to the writer and the whole team themselves, that it's really, they did a good job of kind of keeping that together where you didn't feel like I got to sit and reread the last issue before I read the new one. I always felt it was good. Wrote for Saturday Night Live. Oh, Jesus, Rick Ray. Crazy.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay. Well, there you go. Well, how'd they get that person going to do comics?
Good writer. So he's come to comics instead of comedy. No, I think there was at one point their
Yeah,
AFPC, and the way it was presented early on was it was presented like an old audio play. There was a
yeah.
narrator and stuff, and that was the
Hmm.
part that I'm talking about where I feel like they captured a little bit of magic because it was in this kind of
Hmm.
there was an idea that it was an old kind of radio drama that you were reading, but I think there was at one point there was a podcast or something, wasn't there? Audio
Yeah,
adventures. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So yeah, because apparently there used to be something else beforehand. This series, I think they had already done it before.
yeah, there
Uh,
was a one shot. I've seen the
yeah,
one shot, but it was pretty
yeah.
expensive, so I didn't pick it up.
And I absolutely love the animated shorts like this first panel coming
Yeah,
out, introducing the attraction of the circus and all that stuff, and the differences in cartoony. Even though whole pages are cartoony, they are absolutely fantastic. And this guy Jay Bone is doing absolutely well together with Anthony Marquez. I mean, and also Dave Stewart. Okay, Dave Stewart color this miniseries. It's another feat, for them
yeah,
to get hold of it. A podcast. Oh, there you go.
yeah. There you go.
Okay, so there you go. So and Dave Stewart coloring is absolutely spot on. The man knows his craft. No wonder he's been working with Magnola and Dark Horse for that long, and then now he's been asked to do work for everybody else. And I know how he has managing to do that, because it
Yeah, right.
isn't a cup of tea for everybody. And then I guess he has his own rhythm now, and you can see how clear cut everything is, and how he manages to enhance the artist work as well with the
Yeah,
coloring, not make it basically worse for some. It sometimes happens when the team doesn't work together really well, but honestly, as I say, fantastic 7 issues. And honestly, if there would be an 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th, I would be probably getting him
yeah, totally.
again,
And I wish they
because
would do that. And I hope that they keep it. But I have a feeling if they do a volume 2, it's going to be a new number 1 and all that kind of horse
yeah.
shit as usual. Like, just keep it coming out on a monthly basis.
Mhm.
The other thing I was going to say just about Dave Stewart there,
Mhm.
Stewart Stevens, Stewart. I always
Stewart.
confuse for some reason in my mind.
Yeah.
Is I feel like while my eye might not be as trained, I feel like he always has a different style a little bit depending
Hmm.
on the book. And I think he's a
Yeah.
real good chameleon in that way. Like, it's not like you see his name, the coloring is going to be quality. It's not like seeing Klaus Janson ink someone and you can see
Hmm.
the Klaus Janson in it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you just see coloring and he just adds to it in such a nice way. And again, the production on this book I think is phenomenal. Whatever paper DC is using these days, I really like that texture of it.
Yeah.
It feels a little closer to kind of classic newsprint, even though it's not, but it has
Yeah.
that kind of texture to it. So
Oh.
tipped in flexi discs would be awesome. AFPC, that would be fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah. They used to be having them in old times, and wasn't it? Like you have showed
absolutely.
couple of. I still can't find. Well, I never like really look, but then I
Yeah,
was looking. I remember I always found it difficult to even find that. So yeah, that would be a fantastic thing, because
it would
why
be. They're
not?
hard to find, those older ones with the flexi still in them. Like, I don't see them that often, which is why when I do, I usually grab them. Because they're not out there very much.
Mm. And they're quite pricey because if it's in good
It
quality.
really depends. Most of them, honestly, the ones that I've found anyway, like, they've been fairly cheap because nobody gives a shit. But like, like 5 of us, you know what I mean? Because nobody's got anything to play that stuff on, and they don't want the hassle. But
What are
usually,
you
and also
talking
the
about?
books that they were usually attached to, like Street Poet
Vinyls
Ray, the
are a big
infamous
thing.
Street Poet Ray, that had a record in it. So yeah,
Yeah. But I think
yeah,
it's actually quite entertaining. Then these things happen. It used to happen when you had an extras in your magazines. There used to be like an
yeah,
extra,
absolutely,
extra present, an extra reward for you reading.
totally, yeah,
So, oh yeah, I have to show you where I drew.
excellent,
I
yes.
where is that? Like, sorry, things dropping.
So far, though, it's one of the highlights of my year.
Yeah,
Reading. It's gonna make a list at the end of the year for sure.
yeah. So this is my
Oh,
drawing.
that's cool. That's awesome.
Uh,
Make
and that's
yourself
the.
big.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh, I forgot. Rusty. Okay,
Yeah,
so
right.
this is the panel. Oh, that one,
Yep.
and um, that's
Sweet
this.
Mother Mavis.
Yeah, I even wrote down that because I really
Yeah,
like
that's awesome.
So yeah, so this is one of the
Very
things.
cool. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, on the
Hey,
podcast.
there you go.
Series as well as
Right.
anime. Yeah. Oh, there you go. There you go. That's
Yeah,
good.
I mean, and it nails all of that perfectly, honestly. Like it really captures a bit of the fun, you know, which is
Mhm.
what I want. There's only so many dark doom detective that you can read, you know, before it's just boring as shit, you know. But again,
It's
like to handle that many story plot lines and make it
yeah,
legible and make it
yeah.
interesting to follow through, like it was good. Robin's side storyline I thought was pretty cool. It feels like the only storyline that didn't get quite the resolution was Robin's storyline. That was the one that could have been a little bit more, you know.
Also, because of a Scarecrow, it got involved with the Cobblepot, and
Yep.
Cobblepot was fighting with Scarecrow. We don't really know why, and Robin
Yep.
got involved, but because I think orphanage. No, but no, he was having something because they have beef together, the Scarecrow and
Yep.
Cobblepot together. But yeah, that I wanted to mention that because I wanted to see what's happening with Scarecrow because he was there, and I show you with specific panels where this lady who is giving the food and Cobblepot asking her to have a meal, or him, I don't know, she or he or them, basically, and you have like a skull on her hand, and she's like, yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, cause the Scarecrow's coming for you for it with a pair of rusty pliers, so basically implying that they want to harm the Cobblepot. So yeah, that would have been, but maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe they want to drop it an extra series, hopefully.
I think so. Yeah.
But it all depends if it actually did well. But if they won our hearts, basically, two of us. We definitely you said it about it, and I went for it afterwards. And thankfully, my comic book had all of the things, and I was able to basically catch up with it. So yeah, I was thankfully to your finding. Yeah, I really liked it. I'm still looking at it. It's like
Rick Ray said earlier he was buying the all red covers as well, and yes, they are $1. They're $1 more expensive than the regular cover, but again, like I don't know, man, I think they looked fantastic. Again, I think his style really works for those covers. I think he did a beautiful job on all of them. So
yeah, I loved it. Okay, so who goes now? Now we
you go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Okay, what do I want to talk about? Oh yeah, I hope you read it. Let me talk about this first before I talk to that. So Turtles, 141 now. The numbers is keep on increasing, and I can't believe it. So Raphael got incarcerated or got to jail basically because after the event this turtle or the whole realm of Turtle Universe had basically the walls of New York has been downed, and all the mutants apparently can roam the streets of New York without no problems, and people doesn't get scared just because a turtle man walks next to them, or Gazelle, or or anybody who basically have experienced the mutant bomb, which caused the more mutants coming into New York or places where basically turtles are from, and that's where we in the first place we boarded off over. But now we are having, after that huge humongous event, thankfully we have the stories I can read without being a little bit confused. Also, I never mentioned that, but Turtles' story so far is really helpful because it actually tells you that the whole thing, what's happening. So it doesn't make you like you lost yourself, but honestly, the production of this Turtles is quite consistent. There was a couple of times they had delays, but honestly, if I expect Turtles to come in, they usually are. They have a round of crazy amount of covers, and honestly, in that sense, there would be crazy amount of comic books in your collection if you would collect them all. So he gets arrested because he was found next to a dead body, and that's we having a new villain coming to fruition. It's a different artist now. Gavin Smith is the artist now, and you can clearly see. But they also go into you don't really get lost. They don't make their characters look different completely in art style wise. So it seems to be they have kind of similar vein like Hellboy universe. You know, that no matter how many new artists will get introduced, they will still keep the feel to it. So kind of like you know, turtles will look like turtles, kind of thing like that, and also which is great. So he gets arrested, and he basically says to them, or the police asks Raphael, "Do you have an ID?" He's like, "No, I don't." And they said, "What's your surname?" Because after the mutant bomb, lots of humans became other animals. So they were before humans, but turtles have not. So he was very difficult for him to authorities to tell them that he doesn't have anything because he never had an ID, for example. It gets bailed by Jennika, who used to be a human and now she's a turtle because one of the events happened in the turtle realm, and she became a 5th member of turtles, so female member of a turtle. So if you don't, you're not aware of that comic book with her first appearance as a turtle, in the comic shop skyrockets. Like there was like shortage. There was honestly, I've never my comic book. I said, thank God you have a pullers, because honestly that thing went off shelves like in seconds.
That's
So
crazy.
I've never seen the opening the doors. Like it doesn't happen often, but the turtle books is kind of like you have lots of fans like myself continuously buying turtle books and fans. But when something new appearance or deaths happening, usually those comics of turtles goes off shelf so quickly, and honestly you can miss out because they go for like $10 pop straight away, like not even on the day of release sometimes. Even apparently I heard that in some comic book shops they increases. So Jennika comes in and bails Raphael out, and he's basically like not really wanting to thank, because Raphael is always a grumpy one, you know, like he is the one who does, you know, goes first in the fight. He's the one who always disagrees with his brothers because he has his own agenda. Also, we're basically trying to understand how their life was going to happen now, since the doors or the walls has been downed and nobody's afraid of animal creatures anymore in the streets. Turtles doesn't know how to become what they were, because they were also in hiding all the time, because they were freaks. They were called upon by anybody who actually met them beforehand. So for them to actually go and look for a job is another discussion, and it becomes a main theme of the story at the moment. And the murder is the one thing what basically gives a question to all of them. Do we have to be a kind of like saviors of the area, or should we just become, you know, do our own thing, you know, kind of like, you know, not being as a team anymore and just go do our own thing? We have our own dreams and inspirations. Like Michelangelo is very good friends with what's Seri, yeah. So she is Triceratops, isn't it? Well, sorry if I'm. Sometimes I always forget what I'm talking about when it comes to characters. But anyway, so they are friends, and she's basically inviting him to go traveling around the Americas or even Europe or the world, and he is becoming like really kind of like questioning his beliefs. Does he have to be still part of the group or not? Should he just let go and just be himself? And yeah, it's absolutely as entertaining as always. I'm not gonna show the creatures who actually got introduced as I'm just gonna show you this panel. This is the creatures who probably will be at fault of the murders. But there's other underlining storylines happening as well, especially with these weasels. They are orphans who were saved by turtles as well, and then another storyline. So there's lots of things happening in here, and as always, turtles never disappoint because there's always action. And it's never kind of downtime. There also used to be sometimes, but most of the time it's usually quite a lot of things happening. And honestly, they do have their own conversations, and it looks like speech bubbles quite intense and all that stuff, but I honestly always find it, because there's a really nice balance they keep. And to make it the difference in my drawing, I drew a pigeon guy. He's actually a hilarious character. So I thought, I can't draw another turtle. I need to changed or paved the way for somebody else. So I drew them.
Give someone else the limelight. Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah. So there you go. You have
Love
him.
it.
He has a name, but as always, because I'm doing this live chat, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, Turtles is, as always, it goes that event, passes the event, and I'm still continuously enjoying it. Even though with the events where what I try to do is probably get hold of or in library, or I'm gonna purchase the actual event because they do collect them. It's kind of like apparently there's a bit of a backlog when it comes to that collection stuff. When it comes in, you have to wait quite a long time, and I think it's part of the release, the way they release the turtle books in order basically to benefit from both kind of like people buying in collected editions or buying in singles. And I think that's why it's been so consistent, because the matter I'm reading now is probably will be maybe 6 months collected, I think. I'm not really sure, but I heard that sometimes that's what happens. That's how long time you have to wait for the turtles until they get produced in the hardcovers and stuff like that. I think it also got an effect because the paper issue, who is basically now printing it for the companies, because all the politics between those is not all logistics, as they call them. It's not easy to. But the turtles always been one of the most regular thing, but I always find it very entertaining because, as I say, it has a really good balance, in my opinion, that they have the fight and they have like a storyline. It never feels like there's not enough. It's always as comic, like sometimes I find it with Marvel and DC. I never sometimes I find it too quick, too fast, because there's so much action. There's not enough reward for you just to read it in one single issue. But with Turtles, I never found that. I found that they somehow
stories,
Eastman and Campbell, who is the writers at the moment. Campbell has been there for a long time, even though nobody wanted her, because they thought that, why you let her come into basically do the Turtles now, but they wanted a fresh ideas, a female's perspective as well, I think. And she's really doing well, and she's been there for a long time now, because she was supposed to be there for a couple of issues only for the short event. She was actually drawing it as well, and she's as an artist, she's a fantastic artist. And I wish she should come back, but I guess there's you go where the money goes, I guess. And as a writer, probably she gains more money without less time spent on the table, but she's
you can write a bunch of comics at once. You can only draw one comic at a time, I imagine.
But as an artist, she's fantastic. So if anybody
that's cool.
Wants to find out about us, I think it's the name Sophie. I think is it? Yes, Sophie Campbell. So we want you guys to have a look, because I remember she was drawing them and I was like, I was disappointed because they changed the artist, because I really liked the way she was drawing. It's more cartoony, I think, in the Turtles especially, which is kind of, I know Turtles from cartoons rather than from the original comic books, because that's how I grew up. So I felt it was really a good partnership together, and I felt really excited about it. But then, of course, you have to get used to other artists. But I do tell you one thing, as I said beforehand, they really do a good job where they pick the right, I guess, caliber artists to come in and kind of still have the same feeling to them. So not as jarring as sometimes happens in comic books,
Yeah. Cool.
So, lovely. Love it.
Looks good. Since I've got a lot of mainstream comics that I read, I'll start off with with this one instead. The Kayfabe guys, or Ed and his buddy who was sitting in for Jim, whose name I can't remember right now, they recently talked about this book and looking at some early Paul Pope. So it was a good reminder that I've had this sitting on my reading pile for a little while because I found it here locally. So this is early Paul Pope work, not first work or anything, early stuff. The bonus with this one, it also came with two little prints. I don't know if those are actual signatures on them or if they were part of the, part of it. Different. But what is an actual signature is in here, which I was pretty excited about because you can see it bleeding through the back. So a little signature there. This drawing is printed in the book itself, so it's in every book, but then there's a signature there, which is pretty awesome. Ballad of Dr. Richardson. That's exactly right. boy, oh boy, did this surprise me. I loved this story. This was a really touching, beautiful story. It's also cool to see Paul Pope's earlier work, where it's almost like he's carving out these shapes on the page, because there's this real chunky texture to him laying down the blacks in this. There's some, it almost feels like he's, carving out the negative space sometimes. Yeah, and if this is kind of a sign of what a lot of his early stuff is like, boy oh boy, do I want some more. I loved this book so much. It's basically a romance book. There's this teacher of art history. We get introduced to him, and then he eavesdrops on a couple of other teachers that are talking about him, and not in a positive way. That he's kind of washed up and his ideas are boring and he hasn't had anything published and they just don't like him. So to kind of like get himself out of the funk, as he's sitting, when eventually he makes it back home, he decides he's got to go out and get some fresh air. But one of the things I love about this book are pages like this where he's walking through the city. Sorry, excuse me, still fighting off a bit of a summer cold. Where he's walking through the city and you get panels and layouts of all of the people and all of the sites. And I love these pages a hell of a lot. They work really, really well to give you a sense. Response to the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Okay, yeah, there was something. He talked a little bit about some of that at the end. I didn't read the whole thing at the end, because honestly, the way he was talking about it was kind of turning me off the book. So I decided to just let the story itself sit in my mind as opposed to his take on it. So he eventually goes out, and as he's on the subway, this woman recognizes him. She was one of his students. Here's some more great shots of him just going out, and a lot of like silent panels where he's just a part of the landscape and a part of the scenery. So she starts talking to him on the subway, and he's just intrigued by the things that she's talking about. And it's this, I think it's this recognition. So here's the thing. There's a tendency with these kind of stories where it's pretty easy to go to the pervy old man that just wants to bang a hot young chick. That is not the case with this story whatsoever. This guy is really, he's longing for something. Like he's jonesing for like expression, and he's jonesing for maybe a little bit of like looking for his youth and looking for his sense of excitement about art again. And it's sort of rekindled in this woman here. So, and it feels legitimate. It doesn't feel like it's a put on where he's just going through the motions because he wants to get in her pants. He's not that kind of lonely. He's a different kind of like sad and lonely. Yes, you mean Gore. Yeah. He's a different kind of sad and lonely where he's aging. He's at a spot in his life where he hasn't had stuff published. He's hearing what people are saying about him, and he's just feeling a little down. Right.
Yeah.
And I love that, because not at a single point does Paul make it feel like he's the other thing, where it's just this kind of traditional story of old guy looking to recapture youth. THP, yeah, Sin Titulo, that's the one that they were talking about on the Kayfabe channel too, and I'd love to read that. Amazing stuff. And we get a little bit of look into her life, and she's a musician, and there's this jazz band that they go to see. He actually ran into the trumpet player in the subway. He didn't know who he was. He stopped and listened to his music. I love this book. It really, when I finished it, it was another one of those where I could read a longer graphic novel of this. But again, I think that this encapsulates the story really, really well, where it's kind of just enough to kind of leave you with that really nice feeling of you've just kind of, I don't know, seen a chunk of someone's life that's pretty damn touching, to be honest. Well handled by Paul Pope. I think he did an incredible job with the storytelling here. But again, it's the art. I love seeing he's not quite there yet, because there's some stuff where it does feel a little rushed. But honestly, I kind of like that. I kind of like the rougher line and things. And again, like just seeing the density of the ink on the page and stuff sometimes. And the angles, like the shots that he's choosing, you know what I mean? Really, really just fantastic. Yeah, the Negative Burn are an couple of issues that I've only got a couple of the issues. I absolutely want some more of those because there's a lot of great artists that appear in their AFPC. So highly recommend it. I don't know how easy or difficult this is to find. I have no idea. I'm not an expert on Paul Pope whatsoever, and I don't know. I think this got a reprint, so maybe it's a little easier to find. So yeah.
Yeah.
Like everything on their channel, yeah, it's absolutely interrupted with stuff. But I mean, I'm getting pretty adept at my remote control that I see the transition and I start fast forwarding, and then I skip past it pretty quickly because I know how many times to push that button now to get to the end of those mid-roll ads and stuff. So
even though
if you find it, it's worth it.
I said, even though you don't find the ads on your YouTube now, it's not you're not watching with ads YouTube, are you?
That's right, no ads. Yeah, I don't see ads at all. So it's
and then
they're in video ads that are just getting, again, like, I totally get it. Every video is person's first video, yada yada yada, and that's how they make their living. I get it, but yeah, I just find it boring.
Oh, wow.
Recently read Paul Pope's Spider-Man issue. Yeah, he also did a Batman Year 100 as well that I remember being a really big fan of. I haven't read that in a long time though, but I remember loving that as well. So I do know a little bit about him, but not a lot.
I'm not trying to kill the man, but is this the guy who actually died, or am I?
Honestly, I'm unsure.
Because there was one artist, but wasn't it Paul something as well? No, I'm okay. Let's just forget about it. Probably a band is alive and healthy. Because, but I heard
let's check it out.
One of them were, because it doesn't remind me of his style. So maybe I'm just going.
No, his Wikipedia has him as still alive, 52 years old, born in 1970.
Well, good for you. Good health to you.
Yep.
So
live long and prosper, Paul.
Please. Oh yes, thank you. Well, I don't know, because sometimes those are
John Paul Leon is dead.
Leon, right. There you go. Yeah. You see Paul. I told Paul. Okay. Hello, Damien. How are you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, there you go. We confirm. Okay, people. I'm sorry for even mentioning that.
For a moment there, he was like the cat in the box. It's either alive or dead. Both existed at the same time.
Sorry, my fault. Okay, I just, that Paul, right. That John Paul Leon, that's the one I was thinking about for sure. But like me and names in life doesn't work really well together at all. So me next, yes?
Correct.
Okay. So to my delight, I think this is the last issue, but anyway, to my delight, issue 2 finally in my hands. So I was really happy.
Yes.
My comic book bag managed to get it. He was actually really
what I realized? Sorry.
Yeah. Go on.
I realized that it's actually issue 1 that I'm missing. I have issue 2. I have issue 2 to 5. So I just am missing issue 1 before I read it. I haven't. Yeah. So I'm waiting for issue 1. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Sorry. Carry on.
This is the last one. Issue. It's number 5. It's the end of this miniseries by Stan Sakai and the Turtles, and as delightful as ever. This cover is as fantastic also. Really good poster. And Stan Sakai has been churning stuff out since he's having his dogu. What do they call them? The house of him, I don't know, whoever we're gonna work for him is called Dogu, like undershoot, like the production company kind of thing, because he's gonna now be, isn't he in Dark Horse now? Is he gonna produce the new series in Dark Horse, not in IDW? And maybe this is the last work of his in IDW.
Okay, yeah, maybe
I'm right, or maybe I'm wrong. So
yeah, right.
Don't take it as a fact, because I even kill people for no reason.
Yeah.
So it's not a fact. But yes, I honestly loved it. It was a bit fast for me the end, because I guess because I don't I wait for a while, and when it comes out I don't get it straight away in production value. But it continues to be as entertaining, as fun, and his drawing of turtles is absolutely spot on. I love it, and I hope Stan can do more because it doesn't happen as often. I know the differences between the Turtles timeline and Usagi's is 400 years apparently, so that's quite a, time traveling stories never works really well. Which this story has, but I absolutely love Stan Sakai and Usagi Yojimbo and Charlie. But you have this villain called Wewen, who is basically, because of him, this storyline became to what it is. And that's why Turtles are in the feudal Japan, where Usagi Yojimbo was part of it. I don't want to say much. It says for itself. If you have never managed to if you're a fan of Turtles or you're a fan of Usagi, or you don't know about Usagi at all, I think would be a great introduction, a little bit more or less of him, who he is. So this one is a bit more that he's not alone, not a Ronin, as usually most stories have been, where he's wandering around in Japan and finding whatever to do something. In here was a bit sad as well moment, but it happens. Sometimes I feel like in Usagi, the way he's killing characters, it's really fun the way it looks like, because you have this ghost kind of like a dead sign, kind of like skull sign, where when the person dies. So I find that extremely entertaining the way it looks, but not because it's somebody dies. And I think it's kind of more easier to explain to your kids about death, maybe. Or at least much more fun way to understand what death is all about. But yeah, this was an entertaining 5-issue series. I think so, because the way it ended has to be. And I'm looking forward to in September or October, is new series are coming out, where Usagi Yojimbo will be space related. It's going to be extremely entertaining. I already seen the covers; they look all spot on. Once again, I kind of want to, always think about it, but never do it. I don't get tempted as Terrence is with extra different covers. I'm kind of like, a cover, please.
Yeah.
Always a cover, and I get really kind of cross. And maybe I just have a little bit comic OCD when it comes to that. Shush. Anyway, so yeah. Sorry, a message got me distracted. But anyway, I absolutely love Stan Sakai and what he does. I honestly would have wanted, because he produced, I was mentioning the last time, but he produced the hot sauce for Usagi Onen.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And I would love to just have one, just to on display, not eat it. I mean, I like hot sauce, but I'm not mad, But yeah, really cool. This is
amazing. I can't wait to read
it.
So
you haven't read it because of the issue 1.
Yeah, I want to find. I should refocus on it, because I added it to my pull list. So I picked up number 5 when I went into that shop the other day.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was the last issue. That's the other thing. I didn't realize it was the final one. I thought there was a couple more. So now that I know it's over, I gotta find a copy of number 1, which I'm sure will be amazingly simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not cost me more than the cover price. I'm sure it'll be easy to find. I'll put the word out on the Facebook comic heads.
Town. You have you have your dealers.
I'll have to reach out to some of my dealers. Yeah, reach out to them. Yeah.
Just make sure that nobody hears it.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, and there's this character the way they end the story. There's this big character who had fake nose, but he has a really good sense of smell, and he couldn't see. So because Usagi Yojimbo was feuding between 2 of them, and basically that's how I think he got his nose chopped, because of the confrontation between 2. And there's this daughter. So I'm trying not to make it spoiler, but she will be something if they will pursue telling the story forward with Usagi. Maybe that's what Stan Sakai has done, because the way what she did, the moves at the end of pages of this, I was like, oh, this is good character. Continue, please. Nice. So yeah, he loves, and I'm extremely happy to have the issue 2, because I was really, it wasn't our fault that a truck full of comic books blew up into flames in America, apparently on the highway. Yeah, that would have been a nightmare. But anyway, thankfully that and lots of things happens now. When my comic book guy said he complains now, keep on like water damage comic books most of the time.
Oh, really? Hey.
Yeah, so you know those facsimile editions? There's
Yep.
Hulk first appearance, not Hulk,
Yep.
Wolverine's first appearance, 181, yeah? The most
Hmm.
famous, the most expensive comic book if you own. Lucky you anyway. So facsimile edition came out, and I was asking my comic back to get, and he's like, water damage, I can't give it to you.
Oh,
Because I have to
bummer.
send, you have to send back to get the money back.
Yes.
So yeah, so I absolutely love the, and I'm looking forward to getting the new series. It's
Hmm.
a couple of months gone, so because I officially have 2 books in my pull list, so I have room for a couple more. It's kind of like, oh my god, it's already finishing. Some of the things are because like Batman Adventures is finished for me now.
Yep.
Usagi and Timothy is finished, so and it's like I don't really. And my pull list is tiny, but I cherish them all whatever I get. So because
Yeah,
it
that's
becomes
right.
like
Yeah.
so much more entertaining and precious to me.
Well,
I
you
find it
also actually get to
extremely
read them as well too when you don't have that many.
exactly, and also it's I still, even though I had this, I remember I was talking to you on this chat. We're saying graphic novels, the full story is entertaining, but honestly, when you
Mhm.
read it in chunks, you get more memory kept because it's continuously, it doesn't, you
Right.
still mull around in your head the storyline. When you, it will get refreshed for you straight away, you get a new issue, and you continuously for years, sometimes it depends how many issues you're reading. Like Turtles, 141 issues, I read 111 issues of those 141. And
Hmm.
honestly, I like I say, I can remember things, what happened, and whatever, what happened to that character, why they came to be to what they are. So, and I honestly
Yeah.
don't tend to keep that information when I read graphic novels. So
Right.
there's a
Right.
couple of 2 cents about that, like what's good, what's bad about both.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 Doing the month thing is a good way to kind of make sure you're focusing more on a single issue,
Yeah.
focusing very closely on a story
Hmm.
line or a section of it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Cool.
your turn.
Um, let's talk about this one. So I'm in the same boat. I don't have much on a pull list. It's pretty slim.
Yeah.
And this last time I was able to pick up a couple of other things.
Mm,
So I picked up Weird Work by Jordan Thomas and the one and only Shaky Kane.
I didn't even know that he's doing stuff.
Yeah, I had no idea. I think it might have been on Jared's channel, or maybe it was Damien that picked up. I don't remember who specifically, but somebody showed it off in a video, and that's how I knew about it. It passed me by. Um, I really love Shaky Kane's art. I don't
Hmm.
particularly love Shaky Kane's writing. I like it, but
Hmm.
it doesn't always work for me though. And I think one of the bonuses of this book is that he's got a writer who actually had a pretty good story here. I found it much easier to digest than Shaky Kane kind of written story. But I love it. The main attraction though for reading this is his art though. That's kind of why I'm here. I want to see his bizarre looking characters, and I want to see his strange world that he's putting together. Um, so that's kind of what stood out to me. The story itself seems fairly generic. Um, crime bosses and politicians and hitmen, and but they have like pigs' heads and they look like devils, and
Mm.
they're different colors and all of this kind of stuff. Here's a good kind of bar scene, so to see what you're kind of getting into. Um, but I like the story enough, even though as I'm sitting here, I'm hard pressed to tell you too much about it, other than I thought it flowed really nicely. And it kept me interested enough that I don't remember if I put it on my pull list before I left, but I'll be picking up the next ones for sure. But Shaky Kane is such a fantastic artist. These very, very bold colors. He's
Yeah.
done quite a bit. He had a short story in the issue 1 of Xeno, that anthology that's coming out through Image. I've got
Mhm.
issue number 2 there as well, too, of that. So he's not in the second one, but it was a good reminder. He just kind of pops up now and again in a couple of different places. I'm glad to see him still doing stuff instead of like just variant covers or something. It's nice to see some interiors from him.
Mhm.
Yeah, so our main character is a police detective, so it has that kind of crime fiction feel to it.
Love.
But again, with Shaky Kane's Bizarro world there. So yeah, not much else to say to it other than that. And if you guys are looking for something to try out, I think it's worth it, worth dipping into.
The way his drawing style is and the colorness is always pops there. Like some of the characters he's drawn there remind me like that guy in gray looks like a concrete man. The girl, the the blue guy looks like Dr. Manhattan kind of thing. There's just the feels of it. Oh.
Yeah, there was a yellow rectangle there. Yes, absolutely. SpongeBob.
And that kind of sense is no wonder it says weird talk, isn't it? That's the comic book name. So and it reminded me, do you know that Futurama is back on after 10 years absence?
Oh, I didn't know. Like the show.
Yeah, it's back
with
every single actor in it. By the way, they're back.
Oh wow.
Apparently the Bender actor, whoever voice actor he is, I don't know the name once again, but he was the only one which basically kind of like was on the guessing point. Should I come back to this? But if Bender is not back in the same voice, I mean, is Futurama really a animation things? Because I watched the first episode, I was kind of disjointed to the first episode because it's been so long, because 10 years absence, at the end of the day, and they were taking a gimmick of themselves because of it takes them 10 years. So they kind of that first episode was basically telling. And where they go. He liked both 2 episodes, and the first episode was basically kind of like, oh yeah, we haven't been like in 10 years. Is it actually worth it to come back? Is it because they start telling you the new advances of technology, after 10 years for them, like streaming platforms and all that stuff, like new life. But I'm interested to see how much, because I was a big fan of Futurama. I think it felt like like the cozy watching moment where you like your partner, you sit down and you know what to watch. Futurama was the thing for us to just sit down, have a tea or whatever, and you just sit down having like that time. It's really cozy, even though it's so gross sometimes. But it's so it's back. So whoever is first of all, was it matter? Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
my brother got me interested in revisiting South Park because he's been starting to rewatch South Park. And a friend of mine who I ran into recently was saying that the South Park COVID episodes were some of the best episodes of a show that he's ever seen. He said they were unbelievable. So yeah, for cartoons and stuff. I was never huge into Futurama. I think I watched early on, but it was never a show that resonated me with that way. Like I liked it when I watched it, but I never kind of got into it and watched everything. Yeah, not really at all. Like, not that it was bad, it just didn't because it was fine. There was some really funny stuff, but I just never got into it. I think that was also around the time like I started getting burnt out on Simpsons, and it just felt like another kind of like long running of where I was just kind of like done with a show that just never fucking ends. You know what I mean? So I think I got a bit burnt out of TV at that point even. So
my husband's still a big fan of Simpsons to this day, and he's continuously watching, and he finds it hilarious. He in generally loves the animated more than I do. I get like yourself tired, but Futurama because it was like I think we started rewatching together because when we were starting going out, we kind of like it was thing for him more than me, but I was like kind of got into that because of him, like my husband. So that's why it became such a kind of comfort blanket for me. So, but I'm so shocked they're back. But I'm actually glad when this kind of thing coming back, to be honest, because I always liked the characters because they were so like disjointed, as a team. The Professor is hilarious. The Bender especially, I found him absolutely bonkers mad, and the guy with this guy who stinks all the time. And this last episode I was watching, I think the last episode of the show was the way he is finding a girlfriend and he stinks, and he found a girlfriend who can't smell. And and then he's a doctor, and he's like, no, I can give you a nose back, and everyone's like, dude, why would you do that to her? Because she's gonna leave you because you stink and you live in a trash bin. And then he still gives a nose, and then after that, when she gets the surgery, he's like sweating and he's like stinking even more. And she's like, oh, I miss that smell, and he's like, what? Why I'm stinking? So yeah, in that sense, I absolutely love that. So those kind of characters are very endearing for me.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, there you go. Not everybody is a fan. Yes, Futurama.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't
Yeah,
have
early
anything.
on Simpsons, I agree. Like I loved it early on. I just
Yeah.
for Simpsons specifically, I don't know how many times you have to have those same characters doing the same shit. I mean, I guess you could say that about anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 No.
Anyway, I'm just saying I'm kind of excited about that Futurama coming.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's very cool.
And that's where when my drawing.
Oh, nice.
So he's the.
I gotta say, I'm liking the drawings that are creeping onto a second page there. It makes it
okay.
feel like it brings in this whole panel. Like I love that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Honestly, it wasn't something I like. I have a bit of
Oh,
an OCD on going to that, but I understand now. Like for me, I always want to keep it inside, but honestly, I was like, oh, just let go. It's just a piece of paper, for God's sake. So
yeah, no,
but
totally.
yeah, I start doing them both in that.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
I love that.
exactly.
It brings in the white space of the second
Yeah.
page as part of the piece. I really dig it. Yeah, I think it looks great.
Yeah. So maybe I should do it more often, but I always like
But
to.
I'm biased because I've always loved your art, so it's something that
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what happens to you when you start to invoke some other artists' ideas, and your head starts to kind of work, kind of like break the boundaries, Rasa, break the boundary, because as honestly, I find it that I need to capture them. Like it's almost like, like comic, even though I love the comic panels, which expands into a whole thing, like they lose like experimental panels, not only like bulky ones, but those like Watchmen 9 panels, I found them aesthetically extremely pleasing, because I felt like they are little picture frames, or like
totally. Yep.
Or like paintings in their own format. So in that sense, that's what I felt. But yeah, I'm glad you're okay with that, because honestly, I was like, oh, my weirdness comes into fruition. anyway, but that's what you do sometimes as an artist or a person who likes to draw.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, this is my last one. So I don't know. You can.
Is it? Oh, Jesus.
No, don't worry. Well, I have time, so I can just
Yeah. Well, I won't talk a bunch. Yeah, once you've done yours, go ahead.
So my last one is I took a break from library, so because I was thinking I couldn't find anything, and library got this. It's Olympia by Vives. So Vives, if it's Sebastian Vives, is the same guy.
Right.
So I know, yes, there has to be, because his art style is the same. But anyway, I wasn't sure what it is, but apparently this isn't the first story for the characters in here. So Carol, Alex, and Sam has previous storyline, which I wasn't aware of it. I only got aware of it after I finished reading it. So it's Fantagraphics, baby. Once again, it's a beautiful production. Stands out straight away. And it's about a three ladies who likes to steal art style or paintings from the museums, or they work for somebody. And honestly, because I found out that there's a story before, I got really confused, to be honest, because if you read the story beforehand, I think the characters would have their own time to explain what they're doing. In here, it starts, yes, there you go. Rick Ray, you're correct. This is the first story. So for first part is the ground, but you see, because the way I do my comic reading or graphic novel reading is I just look at the pretty cover and then see, okay, that appeals to me. Or actually the name appealed to me straight away because I read his story by himself called The Sister. Yeah. Oh, in French. Wow. So can you read in French, or is just because you like the original way work? Anyway, so there's those three girls who do the heist, and they end up, one of them starts with the girl who, one of them, Carol, she's in the hospital, and the guy who basically employs them is here, and they're having conversation about things happening. And I was so lost at the beginning. I was like, this doesn't capture, I don't understand who they are, what's happening, until full on storyline where they basically doing the work. And that Carol, who was in the first page, she kind of disappeared out of the life for a while. And we continuously with Sam and Alex, and both of them kind of having their own kind of life in a way, but they still doing the jobs for somebody. But then Carol comes back into life with surprise, which I show you. The surprise for them was, oh, come on, Lassa. Where's the panel? When she comes, oh, come on. La 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 la. Oh, that's the first. Sorry. I want to. It makes more sense when I. Oh my god! Really? Okay, I can't find her. Anyway, so they're doing the heist together without the third member because she disappears out of it, and they need to go into a museum to steal a helmet. And the helmet, it's like specifically asked for one dude, and the helmet they're looking for is this one. And then basically they scout the job. They go in nighttime, do the deed, but of course, if nothing happens to them as normally could be, always something wrong happens. Somebody appears in nowhere, or some situations happens, and they end up being in sewage. The one thing what I really enjoyed about this one is the way they prepared. So they randomly go into this office building with a glass windows all the time, because they have to break in and get the helmet. They have to open the hole. So in order for them to practice, they just go as a window cleaners and start cutting the holes in actual office building. And then people who's having a meeting saying, oh, why is it so cold outside? Isn't it the air conditioning is being closed off, like it's switched off? Why there's this breeze? And you find out that basically they practicing for a heist. So yeah, if I have read this first story, I would have probably more be intrigued by characters, because Alex is the one of being completely loose. She likes drugs and rock and roll, sex about. She thinks that every single man wants to do her, kind of thing. She's always tries to go for them, that kind of friend. I have a couple. Where you like next to them, like, oh my god, man, should I go, or should I just be entertained by her freedom, kind of thing, and then you have Sam, who is I presume she's maybe more lesbian or anything, the way she's presenting herself, a bit more macho, like she's like more serious thing. So while they going to present that helmet to the dude who is basically ordered the job, they start to have a disagreement about the pay, and he decides to blew up the yacht. And they have to basically escape in order to survive. And then because of things happen the way it is, and in order to basically succeed in surviving, their friend who has been disappeared for so long comes to help them, and basically gets them to take away. To their surprise, their friend, she's pregnant, and that's why she was away from them. And they were like, oh my god, okay, Charlie's Angels with a baby girl, she's gonna be like a fourth member. That kind of thing. And they really seems to be like almost like sisters. But this kind of personality, it never came in for me in the beginning of pages. It was actually, as I say, I haven't read the first one, so I got a bit lost. And after reading a while, I absolutely was entertained by the personalities. So I think in this way, it kind of like, maybe it would be better for me to continue, like find the first one and read this afterwards again, like just to have a better feel for it. This Italian kind of bodyguard / killer, he was part of a second job where they have to steal 3 more paintings. And he is like a menacing, like robotic kind of dude with sunglasses, and Alex girl, she's like, oh, you love me, like, wait, why you have that gun? And she's like, as a joke, put the condom on his gun, just because she's like felt like it. And then also she drugged him while they were in a clubbing, while they preparing for the job, and she basically drugged him, gave him like was it ecstasy or something, and he completely gone crazy on the dance floors and started like and she used to her surprise, how can a man break a person's arm like so quickly? And he's like super strong, so kind of Terminator type character with Italian accent, which is kind of weird. So very entertaining read after, but the beginning bit, as I say, because I was so lost, I wasn't understanding that they were the people who were there with like 3 girls, not one, like almost like a Charlie's Angels kind of type of the thing happening. But all of them are very interesting as a characters, so, and really entertaining. So yeah, great, but not great from the beginning. And the cover, look, come on, how stunning the cover is. So definitely that's why I was picking.
Beautiful
That's
cover.
why. And the color scheme is fantastic. And apparently those Rupert and Mulot, they were working together beforehand also. And Bastian Vides, he just came, I guess, to work together. Because, good for me to keep this, because I looked it up. And this is what Bastian Vides looks. I read this Assistance called the story previously this year. I was reading of this, and that's why this book drew me straight away and wanted to pick it up without looking more details into it. I drew. He has this art style where it's only like lines, and then the color fills in the character, which is very difficult to portray just with things. And I found it really,
because the color makes it.
Yeah, so if I put the colors, it would make him to what he is, but unfortunately just with a couple of strokes of lines doesn't. But it's a good challenge and very frustrating at the same time. Because like, I need to fix this, I need to make it like it looks like this, but
probably has you focus more on shapes, right? Because it's just a dead line or whatever, and it's just like you're working out shapes.
And I particularly loved, that Italian Terminator type of character, because he just have glasses and his jacket where they always calling him as a Godfather type of the character, like only the sweater and the jacket, and you look like menacing. So like this, it almost looks like an FBI, to be honest, for me. Like, in here. So his art style is, as I say, is very thin line driven, and the color is doing a lot of work. Even the shadows he's picking, like it's another like just a gray or color. And this is a funny moment where the kid goes like, "Don't touch this. This is like, if it drops, that's like 1 mile radius. Everybody's gonna be dying, and then a nuclear bomb residue for next decade." So they have that in museum as a display. I don't know, but it's just hilarious the way typing. So it's one of the things to look for. Definitely highly recommended. I think the work of Vives is always as entertaining as always have been, and that's why, as I say, I picked it up. But now with Rupert and Mulot, there are another 2 guys where I would probably gonna, if I see something, especially if the Fantagraphics would have them something of their work, I definitely want to keep it. So
as you were talking, I found part 1 at the library, so I put it on hold.
Oh, is it? Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I don't know. I haven't done research to see what Rupert and Mulot did, but because it says in here at the back as an extra information that Rupert and Mulot are the best known for their seamless comic collaboration together. Each French artist both writes and draws. And then they met in a school of art in Dijon, began publishing the creation of fanzine Del Adventure. And they together won a Revelation Prize for International Comics Festival of Barrel of Monkeys in 2019. And Fantagraphics published a graphic novel called The Perineum Technique. I need to show it to you because I'm not saying it right. Hey, can you see?
Not really, no.
No. Anyway, Perineum Technique. I guess that's how you type it. Maybe I can type in the comments.
Type it up on Google.
Wait, give me a second. Oh my god, this is not easy to do. There.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the work the Fantagraphics has produced all of their work. So French artists. So you can definitely know that Vives, that's why he's maybe in front, that he's art throughout. So yeah,
Oh, right.
because his art style is never changes. There's no inkling of somebody else's help. Because you cannot, he has distinguished style, like that style, art style, like it's very distinguished. Because I mean, if you straight away will see if somebody has a different stroke of lines, because he, as I say, he's really has this thin line thing going for him, and that's what he's working with, and it's absolutely fantastic. And it has entertaining kind of things, because while they're doing the last heist I was mentioning, she gave birth, so that was interesting. And doing that while you're doing the heist, so it's not very thing. So
yeah, cool.
So one of the another things I found, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go. Let's see if they have that. The first one, the Grande Odalisque. Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah, Portrait of a Drunk was really great. That's one that I've read. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Extraordinary Part looks like this. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll maybe do a search for them as well too at my library, see what they got.
Okay, so that's the thing. I'm not sure how the Mulot was. Interesting that they would be kind of similar to art styles wise, because maybe
yeah.
It's I've what like because I've not seen any other like that's what that one is. I've never seen other artists in similar style, especially from French side, especially whatever I managed to find in my library. But yeah, this one is very good production. Like always, Fantagraphics is doing stupendous work. They almost the whole product looks really good. It seems to be they have managed to find a way of having the like the color scheme, choosing the art style, even though this art the beginning cover is nothing whatever happens inside, but it's really like melancholy kind of style to it, and I absolutely love that.
And the good oversized too. Like I've seen the first volume at the bookstore, and I've picked it up every time I go to the bookstore. I ended up picking up again to flip through it because it stands out off the shelf. So I always end up flipping through it.
That's
and I've always considered buying it. I've never done it.
Yeah, the size wise is
it's awesome. Yeah,
it's really good. And for graphic novels, it's really that album kind of style graphic novel, isn't it? Where the French usually have bigger format pages, and it's really refreshing. And it doesn't have to be a big book. Like I decided to, I'm going to tackle. I'm not finished reading it because of the sheer size of it. I can't. Oh my goodness, man! This.
Oh yeah, nice.
Sorry for doing that kind of noise, but yeah, this is not something you do.
Gigantic.
Yeah, and it's humongous. But I've read the first appearance of Silver Surfer. It's in it's all because I don't have, of course, in the comic format. But honestly, in this kind of page size to read is so refreshing. You don't have to squint whatsoever.
yeah.
But it's an exercise to just lift it, like as you can.
Yeah, you can easily just lie in bed and read it. Okay, just flip through it, and yeah.
Yeah, imagine. Like, can I actually do that? That was a challenge. No.
Get a bit of a workout as you're going to bed, yeah.
But so I paid. Was originally £50 or $50, yeah. And now it goes for what, 250?
Holy shit!
Yeah, because of its hardcover, they produced they reproduced this, but not in the same format, of course. Of course, smaller, but in the trade paperback format. But honestly, this defeats anything, because reading the first, especially like, okay, I'm gonna try attempt. I'm doing this again. But Jack Kirby's art and this format,
fucking outstanding.
On, man. And the colors are really good in here. It's absolutely fun. Let it start.
Yeah.
Or if you want to, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Cash in. You know how it goes.
I
Shit
mean,
ain't gonna be worth that much forever.
no, definitely not. But honestly, I don't have many of those artist editions, and
Yep.
this humongous book. It's probably the only one I will have in this size and format. If they would come out with the Doctor Strange, which is gonna come out, that one, the recent issues you read, by whom the artist? What is the name of that guy?
Yeah, that's gonna be the treasury size.
Yeah. Yeah, but imagine
I'm
size,
blanking on
that's
his name,
kind
but
of
yeah, that comes
size.
out this year.
Yeah, imagine that kind of size book. I would definitely get it.
Tradmore.
Yeah, Tradmore, exactly. But it's fantastic because it has so much. Like I don't have to get the trade paperback because of collectors.
I beat you, Rick Ray. I remembered it before you typed, Rick Ray. Just for the record. My memory kicked in.
So which
I
one?
bet Ditko looks great at that size. Yeah.
The Ditko is inside here, or is it because it says it only Stanley and Jack Kirby? Is it?
No, it might be. No, he's probably talking just another book where Ditko looks good at that size, because you were saying Kirby looks good at that size.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny thing how they decided to, the first appearance of Galactus and the color scheme they chose for him at the beginning, and then they suddenly changed their minds. It's absolutely. If I can find it. Oh yeah. Okay, let me do more workout. Oh, definitely gonna sleep now.
Those covers, you. Fuck yeah, man.
Look at his colors, not purple.
Killer.
So, oh my god, that's a workout. But that is, looks like that. Purple. Yeah. Looks so much better though. Those colors were not, they were clashy colors. I mean, green and red and together.
Yeah.
Who was thinking of that?
Yeah.
Anyway, wow, that's, oh my god. I don't have to go to the gym for sure with that thing. So yeah, it's amazing how, because I was like, it was on display on that side of the room. I was like, but why? So I put it closer now to me. So now it's right on my face. But every single time I sit, I look at it. I was like, yeah, you have to open
reminder
that page,
to read it.
No, I read the first, and it was. I was so relaxed because I basically put it next on the table, kind of thing, and opened up. I was reading. It was so good because no straining my eyes, nothing.
Yeah.
And that color and the action popping in the page, really, very good. There's 2 giant Ditko books. Wow, one of Strange. Hey!
And one of Spidey. Wowzers.
Now one Strange one. How did I miss them? Of course I miss everything. I don't know how I managed to get this one. Honestly, I was surprised I even purchased one because I usually don't buy stuff like that. But it's a treat. It's an exercise, but it's a treat. It's definitely better than Omnibus in that sense. Because Omnibus is a workout, but you still kind of like, the artwork is not as a big size as that. So now I'm definitely gonna look at the Strange one now. See how much it's going for. Probably is this as much as this Galactus one though.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Because I don't think this is not. I don't think it's something like to produce this kind of size of the book. I mean, is it £50? Like, I mean, it's not like expensive, I presume, in that time, but it's quite pricey to produce a book like that size, I think.
Sure, but I mean, if they're using the same printer for everything, I'm sure they're getting huge discounts at this point. I doubt they're paying what Joe Blow would pay walking in off the street, right? Like, we're keeping you guys afloat.
Yeah. 63 Canadian dollars it was in that time.
It was how much? Sorry?
63 Canadian dollars.
That's fucking cheap, man. That is cheap.
Yes.
For a book that size. $63?
Yeah.
That ain't nothing.
Original price for the release, yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. Absolutely. And that's why I think I couldn't believe. I thought it's a joke, but apparently not. So yeah, it has a first appearance of Galactus and Silver Surfer, and it's all Galactus series. John Buscema as well in here, and Byrne as well. John Byrne. Oh, interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, Damien is saying kind of what I'm thinking. It's like they must have. Wonder if they made a mistake, because that seems really cheap. Yeah. I would expect something like that to be at least $100 Canadian.
We're alive. Oh, you're gonna listen to us now.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, it ain't that price anymore. It's $250,
I saw there was a couple, because there's also all those trade paperbacks on offer.
Yeah.
And they're not at the end of the day, it's not as the same value as you think a hardcover is. It just feels better, and it feels more secure, especially the size page. If binding is bad, those pages will be flying off your hands. Just like flipping one up another. So
go sailing with one of those pages.
And I looked at the back. I was like, really? Did I $50 or retail price? Because the omnibus these days like 100, 25 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Crazy. So it's honestly huge value. And I was like, I remember having like sometimes comes into and then get it. So yeah. Anyway, wow. I'm not gonna go sleep. Jam time. Nope. Yeah. Go on.
I got a few that I can fire through.
Go on. Don't take your time. There's no rush.
No, I'm not going to take my time because there's nothing to talk about. Sucked. Fuck that book. Just get the Doctor Strange issues just to see the awesome art. But that was a shit story, so I'm not going to look for the first because I'm missing issues number 1 and 2. And then I've got 3, 4, and 5. So it was only a 5 issue, but yeah, no, screw that. That was awful.
No.
To everybody, you've been canceled number 2. Picks it up where I'm kind of interested to see where it goes. I wasn't sold on number 1, but I figured I'd give number 2 a shot. Actually not too bad. I really like the art style, but I'm curious to see where this goes, but nothing more else to say about that at this point.
Who's the artist? Remind us again.
Credits are here. Kurt Piers, Kevin Castanero, Jason Wordy, Micah Myers. Micah Myers.
Good name.
The Chinese Michael Myers. To everybody's surprise, including my own, I've been keeping up with the new Doctor Strange.
Seriously?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm just as shocked as you are. I didn't think I would be going this long, and honestly, I'm kind of glad that I am. Issue 6 was fantastic.
What?
I really liked it. Yeah, no, I was really again. I'm just as shocked as you are. Trust me. I'm very shocked. The other issues, I again, because I have 0 books on my pull list, like I just don't have anything, and I don't go every single week. So I figured I'd just give it a shot. So we've been introduced to, and it won't be much of a spoiler, trust me. We've been introduced to a character, General Strange. So this issue is the history of how General Strange came to be, and it was basically Doctor Strange. Again, it starts to dip into stuff that I just don't know, stuff that's happened in other issues.
Yeah, go on.
There's this War of the Seven Spheres. I don't know if that's something that has been talked about in previous volumes. I don't really care. It's nothing that I felt took away from the story. General Strange was a fantastic, very interesting character. So we get the history of General Strange and then how General Strange exists, and then Doctor Strange was pulled from that and brought to the kind of timeline that we know. So separated. So they're kind of one and the same. Even though there's not a really big memory of either, but I dug this issue quite a bit. It keeps me interested as to where this story is going to go, because issue 5 was dull as hell. We go to I keep forgetting her damn name. Clea's mom, is it Umar? Is that her name? Umar, I think. Yeah. So she's getting married again. And Dormammu ends up coming because that's Umar's brother. So we get some of that, and it's honestly, it's pretty stupid, but this gives me some hope that maybe it'll be a little bit interesting. But I'm kind of digging the art style, and I'm just picking it up because, again, like when I go to pick up my books and it's like 2 books, or 4 books actually, because Lily has a couple of books on the pull list as well too. I figured I would just pick it up. I don't have it on my pull list. I'm just picking it up off the shelf. I think they're putting it in my pull box for me because they're just nice guys and they know that I'm picking it up. And also, why not? It's an extra sale for them. So, pretty pleasantly surprised with that one.
Cool.
Xeno issue number 2. I'm getting the what's this guy's name again? Don't Don't tell me in the chat. Lesniewski, Matt Lesniewski. So I'm picking
Ah,
up his covers. This is just a fun little anthology from Oni. There were some really good stories in this one. I would recommend it if you find it cheaper, you know. Another book that has like 10 million covers on it, so it doesn't ultimately matter. I just like
yeah.
Matt Lesniewski as an artist. I think he's really a really good artist. And there's his cover of issue number 1. And it looks like, seeing his preview for the cover on the next one, it almost feels like these are 3 giant panels from a mini story. You know, they almost tell a story themselves through those covers. But that's a fun little anthology. Don't Spit in the Wind is over as well, and that was only a 4 issue. I feel like I need to sit and read the whole thing again because I didn't really. Screw you, AFPC. I got it first. I need to read the whole thing again because I was a bit lost with issue number 4, how we got there. I really like the art in this one, though. It's because it's this kind of rough look to it, and I dug that book. I'm glad I took a chance. Mad Cave is really interesting to me. I'd like to see what else they do. Keep a closer look on their books that they put out, but that was a fun one.
Do they only do minis?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't looked into them very deeply. I have a feeling that they just do miniseries. They may have a couple of ongoings, but I'm not familiar with what they are. But the one I thought maybe you'd be interested in that I'll talk about and kind of show off is this new DC crossover event.
Oh, I know about Terror thingies.
This Night Terrors.
Yeah, I heard
so
of
this
it
is just the main. This is just the main title. Of
You're
course,
Dead
I'm a
Man.
sucker for blacklight stuff, so I saw these covers, and that's what originally drew me to them.
I've never seen them before.
But the bonus is that the main character in this
He's
arc
Dead
is Dead Man,
I read the
which
first.
is fantastic.
I first
Go ahead.
read the first issue digitally.
Oh, you did, hey?
Because I heard
Look at
that.
these pages.
I think you showed it, the cover, and I think maybe you mentioned. Was it in Twitter? You mentioned something about that, and I was like, you looked up, and I saw Dead Man. I was like, oh yeah, for God's sake, I need to go have a look.
Yeah, so it's I'm gonna keep up with this one. There's a whole bunch of offshoots to a bunch of other books. There's a Zatanna book as well too, which looks like it's Zatanna and the main character from Cliff from Doom Patrol. So I mean, that's all of that is intriguing because I mean, this is all that magical world. It looks like it's kind of a crossover event because everybody on Earth is asleep, or most people are asleep, but obviously it doesn't affect some people. So here's kind of a peek at the other storylines that are going to go on here. But the other bonus in this one is at the end, we get the Golden Age. He goes in and wakes up the Golden Age Sandman, which is super cool.
Yeah, zombie-like.
Yeah, exactly, the zombified version, I guess. So super cool, man. I love... I mean, I'm like you. I'm a big fan of the magical kind of characters from DC. I think they're always entertaining. But this was the cover that really sold me on it. It took me a little while to decipher what the hell I was looking for. I had to really pay close attention to the back where they have all the information. But this cover is outstanding, man. Really love it. So we get Dead Man and the Sandman and Batman, because Dead Man is inhabiting Batman's body. For this story so far.
Boy, Bruce is gonna be very angry.
He's gonna be pissed off. Yeah, totally. He'll be super pissed. And he says that even in the book. He's like, I know he hates when I do this, but I don't know what else to do. So and the interior art honestly isn't that bad.
It's not bad. Yeah, who drew it?
I'll get you credits right here, there, AFPC. Let's see. It's such small writing.
Is that at the back of you?
Who gives a shit about the variant covers? Oh, here we go. Written by Joshua Williamson, art by Giuseppe Camuncoli, Stefano Nessi, and Casper Wingyard. There it is, all up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, there it goes, focusing there.
It means the cover, though.
And the covers, the A cover is Jesus, who the hell knows? There's a list of variant covers.
But that's not A cover, is it?
Folks, no, it's not the A cover.
Yeah.
There's all the credits. Like, there's all the credits for all the covers there.
Oh, there you go. Wait.
Focus.
Ivan Reis, apparently the cover.
Yeah, there you go. So that's and it's cool and it looks good in the black light because I've got the black light set up here. I just change a bulb and the other one is hanging on the wall and it looks amazing. So
I
this will
want
be
that.
that'll be where I'm the sucker because I'm gonna get sucked in by these covers. But again, I wouldn't have picked it up if it wasn't for Dead Man because I do love Dead Man as a character.
Honestly, that first issue
So yeah,
I read was really good. I felt like,
there's the
yeah,
Zatanna cover
yeah,
there.
exactly. And
And
this,
then here's all the other books too. So where this is also going, Punchline, Angel Breaker, Ravager, like a bunch of fucking characters that who gives a shit about these characters? Obviously someone does, but I sure as hell don't. Superman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Action Comics, you know, every single book, of course, is going to have their offshoot of how they're
yeah,
battling it.
it's
So I'm just going to stick with the main title and see how it goes.
it's a 2-month
Yeah,
event
and then
which
they've got the
started in
list here.
July. Yeah, this is the
Yeah, it looks
second
like they're
month.
doing it bi-weekly, this title. So there's 2 more
Yeah.
issues to go, I think, of this one. Night Terrors only goes to number 4, and then there's going to be a one-shot here. Night Terrors, Night's End, number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah, that's
started,
right. Yeah.
it
I mean,
started in
unpronounceable to me anyway.
yeah, it started in July, this event, and it's going to end in August. And
Yep.
there's that main title you showing, which is the one of them, and there's another one called Forever something. But anyway, every single book is going to be with that Nine Terrors because apparently, you know, that's when they do event, they do it all, and you can't get away. So for 2 months, your pullers should be gone mad. So the best thing to do is to collect them in a collected edition, especially for the event. But so far with Deadman and stuff, it's quite interesting, especially the storyline of the character. But I think, isn't it like it screams Sandman to me? Didn't it scream Sandman to you? Like you know,
Absolutely.
people asleep, you know, everybody's like, oh
And
my
it
god,
also screamed like
nightmares.
Nightmare from Doctor Strange World. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Because everybody's stuck
exactly.
in their dreams and their nightmares and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
again, that's why the story is kind of whatever. The story is just kind of,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. It's a sideline, but it's interesting enough. And
Yeah.
again, like I like seeing people's interpretation of Dead Man because it is a
Yeah.
character that's kind of near and dear to me as an early one that I was reading, you know,
Yeah. And also
Dead Man and Spectre.
the way they were introducing him in the first issue, so it's kind of, you don't know about Dead Man, is actually plain and simply explained there how he died and what he felt about it.
Absolutely.
So if you at least curious about the Dead Man character, that one book would be okay to actually pick it up because it gives you that idea what Dead Man is all about and how really crazy is in his head, because when he takes over the Batman, he's like, okay, you know, I'm dead anyway. What Batman's gonna do to me, kind of thing. But I'm still, you know, because when Deadman takes over the bodies, the residual are still left over after he leaves it.
Mm-hmm.
Even because they don't have a control of their own body, and he just completely takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of intriguing, especially when he does that to Batman, because you know. He's already brute, like the Batman is already pissed off at world, and now Deadman comes into your body and does that to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you play with your emotions extra for you, you know. Like,
well, they touch on that a little bit in the second issue. Boston Brand is all of a sudden having this aftershock, and Sandman says to him, like, "Is that Batman fighting you because he knows you're there?" And he's like, "No, it's residue because he was in touch with this main villain, and he's capturing glimpses of where this guy has come from and what happened. So he's fighting that because these feelings are overwhelming, and it's this idea of usually people block me from like the horrible stuff, but I'm being blocked from what feels like something good that happened to this person, right? So he's having that part of his personality shut down and locked away, the good part of him, and focusing on the bad. So yeah, it'll be interesting enough. The only one I might try out is I might give that Zatanna one a shot, because again, that's a character like I'm interested in. And that might be a good one to read. But again, it depends on what that week's worth or 2 weeks worth of books looks like, if I pick it up or not.
Now I need to ask my comic buy about these covers now. Jeez Louise, but they extra, isn't it? How much
well, and apparently this one is a reprint because the first one there was a mistake in it, but it seems like this one is the mistake, because I feel like this is the color palette they wanted to use for this one. So I'm unsure, because again, the world of comics is so fucking stupid that the variant that it was the mistake is probably worth $1 billion now. You know what I mean? Because it's went out
Yeah.
there on the market before it got
Mhm.
recalled or whatever. So,
Yeah.
because I kind of wish this color palette was like this one, because
Mhm.
I'm not as crazy about this one. But yeah, when I saw these black light variants, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm in. That cover
So
alone is stellar. It's so well done.
how much more did you pay for it then?
Let's have a look. I paid cover price, so let's see what it says on the back
Oh
cover.
yeah, because they usually tells you how much is it.
$5.99 is what the cover is on.
Oh, okay.
So probably $1 less, because as the DC books, are they $4.99 or are they $3.99?
No, then still, I don't know actually. I haven't picked up like a regular DC comic for a while now. So that
Yeah, I mean, I'm
that
not sure. I feel like they might be $3.99 regular. So
uh-huh. Yep, I agree
yeah,
with you.
100%. Me as well, because that's still unfinished, and that pisses me off because I want more Space Riders. I was actually flipping through those books the other day. I was cleaning out some of the drawers and putting some stuff aside to sell, and I was flipping through those because they're just so gorgeous. Such good work in that.
The other one of this night terror thing, what for me specifically the Green Lantern one looks kind of because of if it's Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan's mine is like
Oh,
not really good because he's
okay,
been
yeah.
through a lot. So I wonder what kind of night terrors does he have, because apparently they go
Hmm.
into your psyche and blah blah blah. So I would wonder
Right.
that one as well.
They
Yep.
do, Rick Ray. I agree.
So what happened to him? Is he on a like
Not
beyond
really sure.
somewhere?
He's still around, because I follow
Hmm.
him on Twitter and I do see him posting stuff. I don't know if he was doing covers, or I'm not really sure. I haven't focused too much on if he's anything. Hopefully, nothing bad has happened to his career. I mean, sometimes people get canceled and I got no fucking idea because I just don't
Yeah.
pay attention to that kind of horse
Yeah.
shit. So I hope
Exactly.
nothing bad has happened and he's still around producing stuff.
Oh, I definitely want to check on that now on your
Yeah.
covers because oof, that looks great. So
Yeah. Yeah.
black light, you mean like that those blue bulbs, yeah? You're talking about is that the ones?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah,
That's right.
okay. Okay,
Let's
cool.
have a look while we're talking about it. K,
Yeah, I think
because
he was.
usually CLZ has
Mhm.
the next covers available. Let's see what the next blacklight versions are.
I-
Yeah, so here's what apparently I think this was the recalled of the first one, if it'll
That looks
show up
crazy
there.
colors. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa, look at
see
that.
that looks right to me.
Yeah,
So I wonder if
exactly.
I have this mistaken one. And if so, how much is it worth? Because
Uh,
I'm gonna sell it. Oh, yes. It says it actually on CLZ. I never paid close attention. On CLZ, it says this is the cover I have is the recalled variant. So I know what I'm doing this afternoon. See if that shit's worth any money and get rid of it. Sweet. So there's the next one, the Even Reese Darkest Hour Neon Ink variant. There's for issue number 3,
oh, lovely.
if it's
Oh,
focusing. So that looks pretty great.
let me do this. So okay, try to.
Go closer. There we
There you
go.
go. Yeah, you got it.
That looks
Wow, look
pretty
at that.
badass. So that's number 3. And
So he's
then let's see what number 4. Oh, and number 4, they don't have the number 4 variant on CLZ. It's not been uploaded there. So
so probably don't
it
have
might
it
be a
in production.
surprise one, I guess. So
Nice. Yeah, just for the oh my god, I'm actually very curious to see how those black light covers look, because I remember you guys were showing the posters, wasn't it? Was that time when some of you got hold of like a black light poster? Was it you?
not me. I wanted that blacklight. The Marvel, they
Yeah,
reproduced them in this
yeah,
oversized.
yeah,
Man, I wanted that sucker. I was sure that I pre-ordered it through one of my shops, but
yeah.
at the time he said I didn't, and I'm like, damn it. I wish because it was something I think I said to him in person. I don't think I sent a message, because I
Hmm.
really wanted it, and it sold out immediately. And they weren't obviously the full size, but they were
Yeah.
oversized. I
Hmm.
wanted that one so bad. That looked amazing.
So, in order to achieve that effect, is it because of the medium you're using? So the special
The
like
color, it's
fluorescent paint?
the fluorescent inks, like
Yeah.
the specific ink. Rugg did it on his Octobriana thing. Jim Rugg did the
Oh.
fluorescent ink black light version of that book. There was one like that. So
Oh wow.
yeah.
That's it's just so. I mean, it looks great. I mean, imagine you have that in in your room. If you have that special black light, especially, like that just
Yeah.
stands out. Dude, I want that cover now. I never go for covers. I never extra covers. That I don't give a rat ass.
But the bonus with this one is I think you would like the story too. So that's the bonus.
Oh
so
no.
Think of it that way. You're not buying just the cover. You're buying the book, right? So yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely. I can't believe I'm gonna go for the event book.
Yeah, right.
It's like there is this thing in my head. Don't buy event books because it's just not worth it. Because it's not. You don't
but
get.
I think at the place that we're both at now, where we're not doing the pull list, like it feels different going to buy an event book because I'm not crazy about them either. But the thing is, I'm not. It's not interrupting something I'm reading, so it's something that I can just dip into for 4 issues and then I'm out. I have no allegiance to anything, right? It's just I want that specific story. And then AFPC is saying that he's working Black Mask just dropped the ball on Space Riders. Yeah, that sounds about right, hey?
Oh, that's bad. And then he said as well about doing
book with Andrew MacLean. Oh, right.
Oh, nice.
Is that the guy who did Headlopper? Is that the same guy?
Yes. Fantastic artist as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what they are working on then?
And then Damien's saying that Zorit does a bunch of album covers and tour posters. That also makes perfect sense because that's where his stuff would work amazingly well, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's good to hear that he's still working anyway.
Yeah, my husband is always like, the minute I mention Space Riders, like, is it coming? It came out, and I was like, no, sorry, I shouldn't mention. Did they miss the book? No, I was like, no, he did not miss the book.
It's so good too. Like the thing is, the story is also pretty damn great. And that newest one with Carlos Giffoni, the noise musician there writing for him. And I thought he was doing a bang up job on that story. I was curious to see where it was going to go. Right. So,
he says is probably one of the things what he likes the stories, okay, but he said the artwork just blows him away and he just wants to look at it again and again and again because it just speaks to him. He says, like the art and stuff.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that too, because when I saw them, that's what I ended up doing, just flipping. I didn't read them again. I just flipped through them again to soak in that art.
Yeah, I always flip through it. I was like, that looks so good. What's
an oversized? We need an oversized collection of fucking Space Riders, man.
So that Doctor Strange oversized thingy coming out like in September, October, or something like that.
I thought it was. I don't remember the date. I think it was September, October, November, somewhere around there. I don't remember. I pre-ordered it though from my shop, the 204 Comics. I know that they're going to take care of it because I need that when it comes out. But that'll be the Treasury size. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
So the same size as the Silver Surfer black one, yes?
Correct. Yeah, the same size as this one here. Yeah. And I saw on I guess Felix Comic Art is his place. I saw that they had a bunch of the Treasury's already out. Oh, okay. Well, shit, Rick Ray. Thank you for that. I'll have to check in with my shop then to see. Maybe it was delayed on our end.
Sorry, I cut you off.
So Felix Comic Art had a bunch of pages from that. Tradmore gave them to sell. They sold out immediately, and I'm sure they went for exorbitant prices. But it was cool to flip through the Felix Comic Art website and see his pages. I would love to own a Tradmore.
I couldn't believe so.
You just blew our mind. Maybe it released earlier. Yeah. He was saying when I went in there to 204 this weekend, there's a couple of books that I have on my pull that didn't make it in yet. So I think we're experiencing up here anyway. There's been a number of delays with books shipping up here. So it might have fallen into that because it seems it's pretty spotty.
Yeah, my comic book guy complains most of the time. Because I don't have such a big pull list, and when I call him to complain, he's like, you just have we have like a proper in-depth conversation. It's like, you only have a couple of books. I just want to get you those couple of books, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I get those like damned books, like every book. So most of the time I ask, because most of the time he has problem with. I was like, what is going on there? Do I ask him for specifics? And he's like, I don't have a clue. But it seems like every single time you have like 2 books in your pull list and I can't give it to you. Because that's how, he's just trying to maintain the clientele. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. And he was telling me about this Usagi Yojimbo #2 one. He was so pissed off. So a couple of times they tell him off. Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Am I in trouble?
No.
Okay.
Are you in trouble? What do you mean?
Well, I know the way you peeked in the door there. I'm like, something's going on.
Thank you.
You're
Nice to see
live,
you
by the way.
too.
You're
Yeah.
live. Okay. Okay.
Bye.
See you
Oh.
soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Surprised she
Oh.
made an appearance on camera. Holy shit.
Yeah, usually I go away from the screen.
Yeah,
I was
usually it's
waiting.
a peek, see, and then close the door quickly. Yeah.
Maybe she's opening to like being on the screen anyway.
Yeah, totally.
I want that now. Or if it's out already. Jeez, Louise, I need to have a look for sure.
Yeah, I'll have to check in with Ashley there
Cool.
at the shop, see what
Cool.
happened. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, anyway, do you want to share more of the stuff you read?
That was
or-
it. That's all that I had. I picked up. I haven't read it yet. I'm gonna wait until you get your copy.
Oh yes.
But I picked up Sacrifice. I put it on my pull list too to make sure. Again, another one that I didn't realize was out already. So really glad to see that it's out, because I really liked the free comic book day. It was really, really intriguing. And it's nice to see that it's much thicker, because my worry, I think we talked about it at the time, was that I hope that this just doesn't end up being the exact same comic, just with like 2 extra pages. But no, it's beefy.
Oh, okay,
it's a
good.
beefy first volume. Like
That
it's
was
really thick.
that was I was worried about, because Free Comic Book Day one, it kind of had what like regular comic book format pages,
Did
and it was because such a intense comic book, you already know, because it's recommender, so you had plenty
Yeah.
of time to work on it. But Max Furama's work, I bet it's like
I feel
great.
like the free comic book day issue ended here, I think, is what I remember. Oh, hello.
Look.
I didn't hear you come in. So it's just so where the free comic book day ended was just before the halfway mark of this first issue. So that's perfect. So it feels like we get a really beefy first issue.
Okay.
Are you going? Okay.
She has
Hello, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh, you're here. Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome, everybody. This is, I don't know if you remember, this is Lillian. She's here. She's appeared with us before. We'll have to get you on the show again one week, and you can talk about some things you've been reading lately, because you've been reading a lot, eh?
Yeah, I've been reading a lot.
And even some new graphic novels too, like books that you not part of a series that you're reading, which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Great.
Where are you guys
Let's
going?
make a plan.
We're going.
Just for a drive.
We're going for a drive to go look, because Mom did like put a hold on some shirts or something.
Okay. Yep.
So we're going
To check them out.
To check them out. And
Cool.
Mom
Buy me a
has
treat.
Me?
Yeah. Give me a treat. Give me a surprise. Okay. All right. Love you.
I will. Bye.
Bye. Have fun.
You there?
We
Can you
will.
make it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, kids are growing up way too fast, man.
I know. It's insane, right? She's a freaking giant. She's sprouting. And I swear my son has grown again. Because I was looking at him today and I'm like, dude, are you getting even taller? Because he's already like as tall as me, if not a little bit taller than me. And it's like, man, like he's looking bigger. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just insane.
Yeah, you're gonna have to look up to your son, like, oh, hello, how are you there?
Yeah, exactly right. Take care of me.
Yeah, soon you're gonna carry you in your hands.
Easily.
Mm-hmm.
What else did I? Yeah, no, that is it. That is all the stuff. Yeah, everything else is just to read piles.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm still
definitely...
chugging through Sandman as well too, but I haven't, like I said, because I haven't been reading very much. I'm still pretty new into it. I'm only a couple issues into it, because I figured I'll just get the volume ones that have like 20 issues in it or whatever, right? So
how's the binding doing?
Great so far. Yeah, I mean, with these, it's, it doesn't open the whole way, but I'm used to that, right? So I just figure it out and get in there, but so far so good. But again, I'm only a few issues in, so I'm not near the center yet.
So you read the first appearance of Death?
I don't think I'm there yet. I don't know what issue I'm about to.
That killed me.
Where am I here? Where's my bookmark? I
Issue
thought it
8.
showed the covers.
I think it's issue 8.
I'm here. Whatever issue this is, they don't have it numbered, but that's the cover of the issue that I'm on. So I'm not in issue 8 yet. This is probably like 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
the dragon has. We've just come from the House of Mystery, and the dragon has been found dead. I think is where I just finished off, and I'm into the issue after that one.
By the main gate, isn't it? Something like that, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I her first appearance, I was like traumatized for like a couple of hours after because of kids involved and death. Kids death. When you're a parent is not something you want.
That's the issue to cover 3. Okay. Cover to issue 3. Okay.
Her first appearance is in like painting, kind of like.
Oh yeah.
Those covers are stupendous.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I found this in a cheap bin the other week. Speaking of Sandman, this is the Endless. It's like an art issue, so it's just like pin-ups from a bunch of different artists. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but
you did on your channel.
Oh, I did. Okay, yeah. So
you said you were all the covers and of the people, and you said you surprised that Terry Moore was part of it.
That's right. Yeah, Terry Moore. Yeah, that's right. And Sherry Flanagan and people like that. But 30 times. Yeah. I'm excited to read the whole thing. Honestly, like I'm really excited. It's on me that I haven't read it up to this point because I've read single issues and some of the offshoots and things, and I've loved them. But this is a good format. I'm happy with this so far. With these trade, they're cheap enough. They're not costing an arm and a leg. I think that was $40 Canadian. So that's a good price for me.
I've seen lots of different types of reproductions of Sandman, but that one looks really thick because they came out with this 10 volume, like they even put them in slipcase, so it made like almost like 120 or 50 pound dollars worth of material, but in trade paperback. But yeah, I've seen that.
That's why, you know what I mean? So they're redoing it because of the Netflix thing, right? So, but I think it's pretty well done, pretty beefy. I think it's 20 issues.
And that leather-bound omnibus, which is 3 volumes of it.
Beautiful.
It's an amazing production, but it's still like, what is it? 80 pounds a pop? I think so.
Oh, wow.
One volume is 80 quid because it's like it keeps on coming back, like the TV series didn't help either because it wasn't as, it's always kept the value though, because there's like a hardcover and it's leather bound, so it looks really well made, and it looks beautiful in the shelf because it has I think gold foil at the back, so when you put your book in your bookshelves, it just stands out because it's like a black with gold. I think.
Sweet.
Oh, silver, whatever, those foil things they use. Yep. So yeah, but I read up to issue 30, I think. Oh no, 20, because I remember I got I really liked the realm, but I got tired of it because of not that I don't want to read it again, but it was just getting into more and more depression, kind of like talking, like people like the sad story about the girl who lied in the bed and then she wakes up and she's like old lady, that kind of storyline. It was like. And it's kind of going that kind of motion. So I was like, I need to take a break. And it seems to be I never finished once again. So you go read that one and you tell me, and then maybe we can keep up together and we finish.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And like I said, let me know when you get this, because I'll wait and read it as it's coming out.
Yeah, I shouldn't. Hopefully not too long because I don't have that much in police, so I can ask quicker. Whatever those books, those 2 books comes out. So
don't rush. I've got a shit ton to sit and read anyway, so I've got
more
I'm
than curious. I'm curious because I want to. If you say if that just a fraction of what we were reading in Free Comic Book Day, then yes, definitely want to read because it's worth it. Like the price tag, even though it's $3.99 only.
Yeah, I think it's a $3.99. Yeah.
Anyway, okay,
cool.
Then. Thank you, people, for turning up and having a chat with us also while we were talking nonsense, like always. And we will, not sure if we're going to fully plan next Sunday to do this.
Probably won't.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's still summer. Yeah, so maybe every other week would be even a good thing.
Pick up Last Man.
Ooh. Oh. I'm gonna have to now to do this. That sister is still my favorite story. From him in comparison to whatever this one. I think the sister was really good.
Mhm.
Yeah, Last Man. Okay, I need to write it down. Where's my piece of paper?
Yeah.
Because I forget. Cool. Last Man. Thank you, people. And yeah, as I
Thanks,
said,
everybody.
and probably if we're gonna do it, we're gonna be going to Terrence's channel.
Okay.
I guess if he's up to it. Thank you.
I'm up to
That
it.
being said, bye, people.
Okay, later.